Okay, I think we can start. Hello everyone, thank you for joining the dAIEDGE Exchange Program Webinar 1. I'm Ana Martins from Funding Box, and we have Project Coordinator Alain Pagani and Yolanda Moreno, Project Manager from Funding Box. The webinar will be recorded and you can leave your questions in the chat that will be answered at the Q&A at the end. I think we can start.
So hello everyone also from my side. I'm Alain Pagani. I'm from the German Research Center for Artificial Intelligence, and I'm the coordinator of the project, the Network of Excellence, dAIEDGE. So I will present a short overview over the project's activities in general before we go into the details of the open call. So dAIEDGE is actually a network of excellence. It's an EU-funded project, and it's actually a consortium of 36 partners across Europe. And the topic of this network of excellence is distributed, trustworthy, efficient, and scalable AI at the edge. So this is the very focus. So we have a lot of very good partners. We have 14 research institutes, we have 10 universities, we have 9 industrial partners and 3 associations. And these partners, you see the logos on these slides, some of the best research institutes in Europe. And we come from 15 different countries. The project has a total budget of 14 million euro, and we have started the project in September last year. So we're actually finishing the first year of the project. More information can be found on internet and LinkedIn. You can look at all of this later. So what is actually a network of excellence? Actually, dAIEDGE is part of a bigger structure, which is the European AI Lighthouse. This is a network of networks of excellence, and we have already a number of these networks. All of them are focusing on a specific aspect of AI. For example, the project Taylor focusing on trustworthy AI, human AI net focusing on the human aspects of AI, AI for media on media. And some of them have started earlier, some later. We are among the 3 that started 1 year ago, the youngest one at the bottom. And we are all focusing on a certain aspect of AI, but we are connected through this AI Lighthouse. So when we started the project, we have set a number of project objectives. Here I will show you our 6 main objectives. The first one is to push forward the scientific progress and the scientific excellence in edge AI. So we have researchers doing research on different aspects on hardware, software, data aspects, on different type of research that we have in one of our work packages. The second one is to have a united community. So the network is not limited to the consortium members, but we also grow the network by inviting external partners, by having a bigger network and events where we invite other partners. The third objective is that we, as a network of experts, we also contribute to define a strategic research agenda for Europe for the topic of AI and the edge. For this, we actually collect insights from our experts and write recommendations. And then we have the 3 others objectives that are more practical. So one of these is that we want to lead by demonstration. This means that we want to develop actually things, software, hardware, showing the results. And for this, we also have 3 use cases that I will present later. We also offer an innovation infrastructure. So we are building a virtual AI lab where stakeholders can actually access this virtual lab, which is a kind of connection to physical devices where you can run benchmarks. And we want also to foster the industrial ecosystem. And for this, we have a virtual incubator We have an AI on demand platform, or we are actually contributing to the EU AI on demand platform. And we also have a marketplace for distributing the technology. So when we started the project, we also set up a number of, or we identified a number of challenges that AI at the edge is currently facing. And we identified also 6 challenges. The first one is more on the methodology and the software part of edge AI. So how to specialize, how to have robustness, how to allow for learning on device and not only in big clusters. The communication might be a problem, so this is more from the software side. Then comes the hardware, how to develop new chips, how to easily assimilate new hardware, how to integrate our new hardware in a kind of continuum of AI devices. Then another challenge is to be able to deploy these technologies and to reuse them. So this has to do with creation of datasets benchmark for testing, for evaluating, but also sharing the results in a kind of marketplace. Now the next challenge is there is a big challenge on security, privacy, on AI. This is actually, it covers AI in general, but it has a specific meaning for AI at the edge, because you need to make sure that the hardware is also secure and respects privacy and ethical considerations. Another challenge is to be able to establish the capability of deploying AI solutions. So how to develop it in actual use cases, answer to specific requirements, and how to deploy different demonstrators. And the last one identified is how to make edge AI interoperable, which means that we need to have a software hardware solution that works in a specific context, in a specific spatial localization, in a specific operational mean, and also under a specific legislative condition. So this brings a number of challenges where these different contexts have to cooperate in order to provide solutions. So what we are working on now since 1 year is to develop solutions for these challenges, and some of them, I will present them now. We are actually developing this AI virtual lab. So actually you can think of it as a lab for testing algorithms on specific hardware. Just you don't have the hardware on site, but you can actually leverage hardware that other stakeholders have. So you can put in common different infrastructures, and then you can send your data, run benchmarks, get the results, and this with various combinations of input-output streams. A second thing that we are starting to design is the marketplace, where solutions that are developed are also proposed for further development or for acquisition, and this is actually a cooperation with the AI on demand platform. And also we have an incubator for new ideas, new technologies, where we help SMEs and startups to develop their own technologies. What we develop also serves for our pilots. So we have selected and we are working on 3 pilots. Here I will briefly present them. The first one is a monitoring and inspection system that is based on drones. And the drones can fly into a warehouse. And so you need AI on the drone for flying, but also for counting, for selection and the like. So this is also, it has an interesting aspect of collaborative AI, because we will have multiple drones flying. The second use case is using AI on a chip on satellites. So satellites are of course very useful for getting a lot of data. The classical way is to download or take this data down to the earth and do the development there. But actually, if you put a chip in the satellite, you can do a lot of pre-processing, which is very useful and limits the number of or the amount of information that you have to stream, and that's why it's quite important. And you can understand that once your chip is on in orbit, there is no way of changing it. So this is really an ultimate edge scenario. And the last one is the scenario of smart cities, where we want to develop a number of cameras that can be installed in the city in order to detect pedestrians, cars, and help in mobility, transport, and this type of scenarios. So what we are also doing, since we are a network, is to organize a number of events, and we started with the first kickoff that happened actually 1 year ago in Kaiserslautern. Here you see actually all the persons working in the network of excellence. Then we also had, we were co-organizer of the Edge AI conference last year that was organized in Athens. It was in October. We are also organizing a number of workshops with the High Peak conference. So we had last year 2 workshops, one on driving next-gen AI technologies and another one on accelerated machine learning. We also had a workshop together with the ETS conference. It was the AI Treats conference on hardware reliability and security. This was in May. And also a workshop together with all the network of excellence that happened last June, where we could also offer insights on our virtual lab. Now, these were the past events, and there will be upcoming events. So the very next one will be in October. This is the 2nd edition of the Edge AI conference. dAIEDGE is also a co-organizer. So if you are interested, you can also check and register for this nice conference, many speakers. And we also had recently the first year General Assembly meeting. It was in Institute Force in Heraklion, and we had also very interesting insights on what we have developed so far and plans on for the next 2 years. So this was a short presentation on dAIEDGE. Thank you. Now I will leave the stage for Yolanda for explaining more the open calls.
Thanks so much, Alain. Really nice presentation of the project. I will share my screen now. Okay, so, well, I will go now a bit through the exchange programs open call that I think our attendants want to know a bit more about it. Well, dAIEDGE will launch during its duration 3 open calls. This first one is more focused on the research. This is our exchange programs open calls, and just for your information, starting in January, we will have another 2 open calls that are more focused in the industry, will be used to solve some industry challenges that will be defined by the dAIEDGE consortium. This first open call started like 20 days ago, and its deadline is the 31st October at 15 in the afternoon. It's very important for the applicants to remember this deadline, because at this moment the application platform close, and you cannot submit after the deadline. Okay. In this open call, we are looking for researchers or PhD students in the field of AI at the edge. But you can apply in 2 different ways. You can apply as a natural person, or if you are contracted by an SME or a university, the entity can be the one that applies and delegates the researcher to the dAIEDGE project to do the research. Okay. It's important also that the natural persons are citizens or residents of the eligible countries, and the legal entities also should be register in one of these eligible countries. That is the European member states and his associated countries, and the countries that are associated to Eurozone Europe. Okay. One thing that is important for the eligibility criteria is that the beneficiaries must be present full-time at the hosting institution for the 5 months of the exchange phase of the program. Okay. Well, it's also important to know that the IH consortium partners, their affiliated entities or employees cannot be beneficiaries of the open call. For example, if someone from Alain's organization that is not working in the project but is contracted by the FKI, he's not able to apply to this open call. And well, the scope of the open call, the exchange program will finance the mobility and the cost of living for the individuals, the researchers or PhD students, to spend time at the dAIEDGE hosting institution. The idea is to perform common research in the field of AI at the edge, and hopefully that leads to significant advance. Ideally, the result of the program should be a common scientific publication between the beneficiary and the hosting institution. Each beneficiary can receive up to 60,000 euros for participation in the whole 7 months exchange program. The maximum budget for the complete open call is 600,000 euros. And applicants should indicate during the application process the total required grant. This is if the best score applicants apply for example, 40K, we will be able to select more beneficiaries until we reach the limit of 600,000 euros. If you want to learn more and have all the information about the open call, we recommend you to go to these documents, the guide for applicants and the frequently asked questions. The guide for applicants is the legal basis for the open call. There you can find a detailed description of the scope, the eligibility criteria, how the evaluation process is run, and a bit about the support program that comes afterwards. Also, you will find an annex with all the hosting institutions and information about them. In the frequently asked questions, well, you have the most common questions that we have about the open call, and also a couple of examples of budgets, what are the eligible costs for this open call, etc. And well, coming soon, also for information, you will have also a draft of the subgrant agreement that is signed among the beneficiaries and the dAIEDGE consortium. Well, who are the hosting institutions where the research will be done? The dAIEDGE consortium, as Alain said, has real first-class universities and first-class research centers from all over Europe. And well, some of them have volunteered to be these hosting institutions for the open call. I won't go through all of them detailedly, but if you go to the guide for applicants in the annex, you have the complete list with some information about them and well, and links to go to their web pages to get more information about the research they perform. I will go now through the evaluation process for this open call. After you apply to the open call, when the application system is closed, we go through a first check when the eligibility criteria is checked. This is if you apply as natural person or as entity, and if they are eligible because of their location or whatever. If the well, in the guide for applicants, you have like the ground rules, like proposals should be completely written in English. Each person or entity can apply only once to this open call. And the scope of the proposal. Okay. The most important part in the evaluation is the independent individual evaluation, where 3 experts in AI will evaluate each proposals. And for that, they will have 3 main criteria: the excellent, impact, and implementation sections inside the application form. Okay. These sections will be scored from 1 to 5. After all the evaluations, a ranking will be created. With this ranking will be discussed by the dAIEDGE selection committee at the consensus meeting. And that will be the basis for the selection of the applicants. After the evaluation, even if you are included in the list of, let's say, winners of the open call, you will need to go through formal check if you to prove that the stated that what you have declared in the application form is true. Then you will have to sign a sub-grant agreement with the consortium, and then will be the moment when the exchange program starts. We plan this to happen around the end of February next year. Okay, the selection process is long because we want to make it as fair as possible, so it takes time to do things well done. So it will be February or March next year when the exchange program starts. And if you are selected, what you will do? The exchange program is divided into stages. First stage, plan phase, that can be done remotely, can take to 1 to 2 months. And in this stage, the beneficiaries, along with their mentors in their hosting institutions, will create a research plan document that will include the challenges that will be solved through the research activities that will be performed, which publication is planned, and also the budget for this research project. Okay. After this 1 or 2 months, the beneficiary receives the 25% of the grant. In the second stage, that is the exchange phase, the duration of this phase is 5 months. As said before, it's mandatory to be present in the hosting institution for these 5 months. And at the end of the period, the beneficiary should deliver a technical report on the conducted research, and then he will receive the 75% of the grant. Of course, it's not only present the document, there is a review procedure to release the payments when the selection committee check the work done by the beneficiaries. And well, as you see here, the process, beneficiaries submit, the technical partners review the work done, selection committee approves, and it's after that when the payment is released. Okay. Well, now I will go through how to apply. The application process is quite straightforward and simple. It's done through the Funding Box platform. You go to this website, dAIEDGE firstoc.fundingbox.com. You need to log in or sign up if you don't have a created account. Click on the apply button and start a new application. When you start this new application, you will see this application form where you will need to go through all the sections, filling. All sections marked in red with the red star are mandatory. But we will really appreciate if you can also fill the statistical section because it helps us enrich more applicants. When you click in one of the fill buttons, you will see the questions inside that section. Also here, you will have some questions that are marked with this red star. Those are the mandatory ones. When you fill it, click Save and Continue. And when you have all the sections filled, this button Submit Now will appear. Okay? After you click the Submit Now button, you will have this message. Also, you will get an email in your account confirming the submission. But what is important to know is that you can always edit your application until the deadline. So whatever you want to change, you always have the possibility. And we recommend you to submit with some time. And then if you want to improve something, you always have the time before the 31st October at 3 p.m., okay? Some tips for this application. Remember to submit before the deadline. Only the last proposal which has been submitted in order of time will be evaluated. As said before, we don't accept multiple submissions for this open call. It's important in this case that we are looking for researchers that, for example, it could be that two people from the same university wants to apply. So it will be good to have this in account if you want to apply as a university or as a natural person, because if two persons from the same university apply as university, only the last one will be considered, okay? Because the dAIEDGE cannot found twice the same entity. As said before, you can always edit all the fields in the application form. Submitting the application is only possible when all the sections marked with the red star are filled. And there is an option to add contributors to that application submission page. It's quite easy also. Let me show you. When you are in the application form, you have here this button to add a contributor, and other person can help you with the fulfilling of the application. Well, this is not our last. I'm sorry that maybe this slide is not updated, and maybe this is not the date when we are holding the following webinar, but it will be announced in our website, in the dAIEDGE application site. So, well, if you start your application and there are more questions that you don't have now, but that will come up during the application process, you can join us here and ask the questions again. Well, just for the future, we will have another 2 open calls, as said before. Here you have a bit of information about them. And I think that's all from my side. If you want, we can go through the questions. Anna, I will stop sharing.
Yes, thank you, Yolanda. I see that we have a couple of questions, so let me go through them. Could we get the presentation by email?
Yes, I think after this webinar, Anna will send to all of the attendees the recording and the presentations. Yeah.
Thank you. To prepare more effectively for the proposal, is it acceptable? Should we contact the host organizations?
Well, consortium partners cannot help applicants to fill the application form or to prepare the application. But if you have a question about a hosting institution, about the research that is performed there, you can send it to the help desk. I will tip the address the email address in the chat now, and you can send them there all the questions you have, and we will pass them to the hosting institution for answer.
Thank you. Until which dates the exchange program should start and?
Well, as said before, the exchange program should start after finish the evaluation around February. And then its duration is up to 7 months. First phase could be 1 or 2 months, and then the 5 months of exchange.
Thank you. Are costs for conference travel journal open access fees eligible?
Yes, you can include them in the summary of the budget that is requested during the application form. But let's say this requested explanation of the budget is not definitive, and then during the first stage of the program, it will be detailed with the mentors.
Thank you. Should my proposal focus strictly on applications that directly align with beneficiaries of the dAIEDGE project, or is there flexibility to propose something more closely related to my current research? For instance, my research focuses on edge machine learning applications for energy efficiency. Would it be acceptable for my proposal to center around this area?
It will be acceptable, but maybe Alain wants to elaborate more. Yeah.
Yes, of course. I mean, the aim is that you will be able to continue your own research. We will not ask you to completely change your topic. So actually, you should try to spot the hosting institution that is near to your topic and apply for that hosting institution. I mean, the hosting institutions are members of the consortium, and we are happy to welcome, candidates that have their own research topic because it's always interesting. So, but you need to verify that what you are proposing kind of aligns with the topics that are being developed at the hosting institution.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is the selection of my number one beneficiary option critical to the project selection process or authority? Or can other interested beneficiaries select my project even if they are not my top choice? In the case of energy-related edge AI applications, which beneficiary would you recommend if you are able to share this information?
About the first part of the question, is critical if, for example, let's say there are 5 beneficiaries better scored in the selection process, and they have choose the same hosting institution as you, but we will take into account your preference. In the application form, we also ask for second, third choice that other hosting institutions will be interested for you. And well, we don't expect it to be really critical. We think that at the end, everyone could be host in the institution they apply for. But that is the reason why we ask for other choices just in case. And about which hosting institution is more fit for energy-related applications, I don't know if Alain wants or has an idea.
Well, I think I cannot answer this question right now. The best is that you look at the hosting institutions and that you check yourself if your topic would fit in the topics that are currently being developed at each hosting institution. I think it's better that the applicants do this research themselves, so they have a good feeling where they can actually go.
Thank you. Can Ukrainian university take part in the project?
Yes, Ukraine is one of the eligible countries for the open call, so both Ukrainian entities or Ukrainian citizens can apply to the open call.
Thank you. What if we do not have a correct forecast of the cost?
Well, the grant amount requested will be the grant amount granted, but if there is a mistake in the summary, in the definition of the cost, that is not a problem because the final budget will be included in the document that will be created in the first stage of the program, and that budget will become part of the agreement signed.
Thank you.
I think the main message we need to tell here is that we will not be able, once the project starts, to give more than what you applied.
Yes.
Now, if there are some changes in the categories and you have less personnel and you need more travel, this probably we will be able to arrange. But the limit we will not be able to go above. And also, second message is maybe the consequence of my answer would be, okay, let's put high numbers so we are sure. But we will also evaluate your application by looking at the realistic figures for the cost that you actually are expecting. So please try to be quite realistic on the budget.
Thanks, Alain.
Thank you. Can non-EU PhD students in EU universities participate?
Okay, if you have resident permit, yes. If you are contracted by the EU university and want to apply as the university, yes. But if if you are not from an eligible country, even though you are making your PhD in Europe, well, you will need to have or the contract or the permanent residence. Okay, if not, it's not possible.
Thank you. I am an European citizen, so this was good. Is it possible for the hosting institution to be located in the same country where I currently reside?
Yes, there is no limitation or indication that you should move to a different country.
One small add-on to this. If the hosting institution is the very city where you actually live in, probably the evaluators will think it's not a mobility thing. So you will probably have a bad grade if you plan to go to a hosting institution that is in the same city. So I would avoid this situation. But same country, it actually works.
Besides financial support, what other resources or assistance does dAIEDGE provide to successful applicants?
Of course, at the hosting institution, they will have a mentor, a member of the dAIEDGE consortium that will help and support with the research and the resources of the entity.
Thank you. Since I have a contract with university in Italy, should I apply by person or mandatory to apply by university? Is it important or ranking on hosting institutes?
My understanding, because that depends on the kind of contract you have. If you have a contract to be working in this Italian university, where you need to go to your work every day, I understand that the ideal situation is apply as a university that which delegate his worker for these 5 months to be in the hosting institution, and university will continue paying your salary, and the university will receive the grant. If your contract allows you to be out of your work for 5 months working in a different institution, that will allow you to apply as a natural person. But that depends on your personal situation.
Thank you. Could the budget be increased if in phase 1 is decided by organization?
No, I think that was what Alain was saying before. As we will be selecting until reaching the maximum amount we have in the open call, the amount requested in the grant will be the maximum amount granted. But as said Ellen, it's important that the budget is realistic. We included some ideas for the rates, to use standard Marie Curie rates to calculate, for example, the monthly allowance or the mobility. But yes, as I said before, that is a score in the implementation section of the application form and will be evaluated by our experts.
Thank you. Is budget part of the selection criteria? Will projects with smaller demands be favored in the selection?
Is part of the selection criteria. It's not that having a smaller budget will be advantage. Is that it will be evaluated that the budget is realistic, as said before. It's according to what is going to be done.
Thank you. We have a comment. Sorry, I didn't understand. In your slides, you said we should have permanent residence, but as you know, international students in EU universities have residence permit, not permanent resident. Is it enough?
I have to say that I'm not completely sure about this answer, so I will check with our legal team that performs the eligibility, and if you want to send it to our help desk, and I can answer you there, because and we will include also this in the frequently asked questions, because I don't want to say something that is not completely true.
Thank you. Is the funding tied especially to the named researcher in the proposal, or could the funds be transferred to another individual from my institution if the proposal is accepted?
No, the person that applies and that makes the proposal is for that person, okay? Because we, in the evaluation, we are also evaluating the researcher experience and everything. So even though if it's a university, the applicant, but it's the person that applies. No, you cannot move then the grant to a different person.
Assume that I win the funding. After talking with university, I see that the only option is to have university as legal entity. Can I change that time? The same proposal?
I think not. The
Well, maybe the correct answer would be you should talk with the university before applying. Actually, it would not be recommended to apply without letting, as a university, without letting the university knowing about it, because they have to, probably they will have to help you making the budget first, and second, they will have to know that you ask for it. So I think that the question is biased, because it doesn't happen. You cannot win the funding and then talk to the university and then find out that it was better to do it in another way. And the short answer is no, you cannot change the type of application after submission.
Thank you. Is it possible that one hosting institution accepts more than one researcher?
Yes.
Thank you. I am pursuing a PhD in the UK with permanent residency in an EU country. Am I eligible to apply as a natural person, and can I apply through my institution?
Yes. You can apply as a natural person if you have permanent residence in Europe, and you can apply through your institution because United Kingdom is eligible to this open call.
Thank you, Yolanda. Do you have any other questions? I don't see anything else in the chat, but maybe we can wait a few minutes.
I just see a raised hand. I don't know if it's someone wants to say something or if the question has been answered already.
Oh. Maybe they can write in the chat.
But I think this person
I think, yeah.
wrote something in the chat already, so probably the question is already answered.
Yes, I think so. I see no other questions. Oh, okay, I see another question. Is the contract for the grant considered a work contract in the host country? I
No.
ask this because I'm an EU, a non-EU, and we may need a visa.
No, the grants awarded by the European projects are and Horizon Europe projects are not working contracts. Well, is the contract that you sync with the consortium, and it sets the basis for receiving the grant. That usually you don't have to pay taxes for these grants that come from the European Union, but it's not a working contract.
Yolanda, is funding granted paid as a contract or scholarship type?
No, it's asset is a grant and is paid as a lump sum. That is that you don't need to give financial proof of the expenditures. Is the grant is paid against the work done, against the deliverables that are set in the agreement.
Thank you. If two proposals are sent by one university, what is the time criteria? First submission or finalizing the submission?
The last submitted application is the one that will be considered.
Thank you. A very common question, but would like to know if there are any best practices or common pitfalls to be aware in planning phases.
Well, I will say don't wait until the last minute. That I think is the most common. I have to say I have been in a lot of other open calls and we have emails. Oh, it's only 3 minutes past the submission time and I'm not able to submit yet. You will not be able. I think that is the more important, and make some research about the hosting institutions. As Alain said, you will find which is more in line with your research and where you will better prefer to go.
I would like to come back to the last question because I think it's there is two questions in this. If two proposals are sent by one university, what's the time criteria? You answered that the last one will be considered. Yes, but I think the question is actually more if there are two proposals independent from each other, and that's a problem because we have only one. We can only accept one application from a specific university. I think that's maybe the idea behind the question is how will you select which one you take if there is no prior discussion on aligning with just one submission.
Thank you.
So no, but we don't have an answer.
In the basis, in the guide for applicants, is established as a ground rule that only last submission from one entity will be considered.
I agree, but this means that you need to submit in the very last second if you want to be the one that we select.
Okay, for example, some days ago we have this question from a university in Spain that they have some researchers in the same group that they would like to apply. We have an email exchange, and the conclusion was that one person could apply as the university and the others could apply as natural persons. It will be good if you have in your research team more people that want to apply to make an agreement on
exactly. We
how
can only recommend to discuss within your organization to make sure that this conflict does not happen.
Thank you. In the soundness of the approach I described with the number phases should be the same number described in the planning phases.
No, I understand. well, maybe Alain can correct me, but I understand we have the two phases inside the inside the support program, the plan phase and the exchange phase. But for sure, if you describe with different phases what will be your research, that you will have, I don't know, one phase for this thing and the second and third phase for different things inside the exchange phase is correct. You don't need to stick to those two phases only.
Yes, I agree.
What is the deadline for internship implementation in the first call?
Well, we have an starting date that will be February, March, as said before, and the total duration up to 7 months, but let's say we don't have a final deadline.
Thank you. Is the evaluation different if the researcher is applied as a single person or through legal entity? Example, university.
No. All applications will go through the exact same evaluation process, and for us, let's say, there is no difference if the grant finally goes to the university or to the researchers. The process is completely equal for everyone.
When is the date of the results announcement?
We will be informing phase by phase. After the eligibility criteria will be one email informing everyone if they have passed the eligibility. And then after consensus meeting that will happen by the end of January, will be another announcement with the final results.
Sorry, I did not listen to the answer. In the soundness of the approach I described with the number phases, should the number be the same number described in the planning phases?
No. As we said, you can use for planning what you feel better is the two stages of the support program are fixed, but for sure for your research you can plan as you prefer.
I don't see any other questions. Okay, I see another question. What is technical level of detail expected from the applications based on the area and specialty of the evaluating committee? Will people from my specific area in the host be chosen to evaluate?
Well, the evaluators will be all experts in AI at the edge.
Yes, since we cover different specialties of AI at the edge, there will be a matching, like reviewing of publications. It will be the same. We'll try to match reviewers, evaluators with the applications to make sure that the person that is evaluating yours has a sound level of knowledge regarding your expertise.
Could I apply without the CV? It is not marked with the red as a mandatory.
Well, it's not mandatory. Also, you have the LinkedIn profile to include. It's not mandatory, but for sure, the more information you provide, the better to the evaluation.
Can you explain a bit more about the mobility scope? Is there a scope objective document? Is there a scope to collaborate with cities that we need to work with a city to validate and test application?
Sorry, truth is I don't completely understand.
No, well, I can answer the second part of the question. There is no specific scope to collaborate with a specific city. The scope is to collaborate with a specific hosting institution. So scope is actually to continue your own research together with a mentor that will come from another institution And an ideal goal would be to end up with a scientific publication, a common publication between the hosting institution and you. So it's really, the scope is really around technical scientific research. And there is no specific scope around implementing or trying, demonstrating within the city where you are going in. It's really more the group, the institution that you are going to visit.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions.
Okay, so well, I'm sending in the chat the help desk email address. So if anyone comes up with anything else that they want to ask, please send the question here. Well, thanks so much, Alain, for being here and help us in explaining all this.
Well, thank you. And for
And
the attendees.
thanks so much to the attendees. We wait for your applications and good luck.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.